on the entire planet. That's what this thing is. The whole thing. I'm going to prove it over and over now. Ready? Okay, so let's have some fun. We'll all glory to God right now. All the glory to God. So here is the Strong's Concordance. I've shown you what it is. So I'm going to give you the best way to prove this out is just to start giving you a couple examples. So I'm going to give you the best way to prove this out is just to start giving you a couple examples, and then we're going to reiterate a couple things from the last video so they sink in. But you ready? Here we go. There's the Strong's Concordance. Let's come up with a word. Let's come up with a word that means, or let's come up with a number. So look, I wrote, here's my Google search. I want you to see exactly what I searched. So, Strong's Concordance. I need a word number for apprehend, catch, and arrest. So I need to know what number, if I want to hide in front of you, because let's say Satan is running the whole thing and he doesn't want you to know what he's really doing.
Then you would have a twin sister, but you would have a brother and a sister, and nobody would know the difference.
Thing's an illusion. The whole thing's really just a big hunting party, and he wants to openly show himself as the Prince of Darkness, mocking the crap out of you. And he's like, well, I want a number for a word that means to apprehend, catch, arrest. So I typed it in. Strong's Concordance word number for apprehend, catch, and arrest. So let's look what the results are. Strong's Greek 4084 means to lay hold of, to catch and arrest. So right here, so I'll click on that, see what it is.
Basically, the detective is from the inside, like Will Smith, and he's half robotic. He has that arm thing going on, so part of his body is AI, and iRobot is taking over. The other part of the body, being part of AI. If there's a part of the body that's AI that can give birth to a human being, don't you think that 2035, that would be the takeover?
So the number 4084, Piazzo, it means to lay hold of, to take. I lay hold of, I apprehend, catch, and arrest. And it's used in the Bible. So just like I showed you when I showed you over here, like, you know, everywhere you want to see this, the word lieutenants used is in Ezra, and Esther, and Esther, and Esther. So the word lieutenants is used 4 times in the Bible. The word life, everywhere it's used, it shows you every chapter, every verse. But let's say we wanted to find a number that meant I apprehend, catch, and arrest. It's Piazzo, it's 4084. And then it shows you.
In other words, he's telling you, I apprehend, catch, and arrest. He's telling you beforehand.
See, just in the concordance, it's used in John 7:30, it's used in John 7:32, it's used in John 7:44, John 8:20, John 2. So you can see that word in the verses it's using. Okay, so now
I always see 848 for some reason.
I'm going to show you,
even though it's 4084.
the movie iRobot. So the movie iRobot is about a takeover of a bunch of robots taking over the human race.
Yeah, so when you're taking over the human race, think about this. If you take a man and you invert him into a woman, you place the AI device inside of his body, he's able to have a baby, you would never question that. Like if you had boob implants and the whole 9 yards, how would you ever know that to be true? But would that be implant into the DNA. That way that's created. But no, isn't that something that happens after the fact, where you go from being born a man the way that you are, and then you change yourself into a woman at a certain point in time, and you have that birthing AI system that is inside of your body that takes over. It takes over the human race because because it's man and man making a baby.
The insurrection and takeover, and they're to destroy the human race. So at the beginning of the movie, it says,
wouldn't that destroy the human race?
Chicago 2035. So it's going to give you the setting. It's going to say, hey, you know, the screen is going to show a backdrop of Chicago, and it's going to say Chicago 2035 as a setting.
Insurrection, takeover.
To set the time frame in which the movie occurs.
The Philadelphia Art Museum layout has that entire male-female reproductive system. Looking at it from one way, it's the full female. Looking at it from the other way, it's the concealed device, the worm that never dies. And up above also looks like a mechanical device, some kind of implant.
They're letting you know it occurs in Chicago 2035. Well, let's go ahead and
it's also Trump's wounded head.
Right next to the one we just did.
Or Trump's fatal wound in Gematria.
Strong's 2035. Let's see what they're doing in 2035. So
I can only imagine.
2035 means an overthrow, destruction, ruin.
Of who, though? Who is getting destroyed, and who is getting resurrected? That's
from Isaiah 49:19. The desolate places and destroyed land, and so it's giving you a heads up. 2035, it's an overthrow. It says it right there. 2030. So, wouldn't that be weird if that's what the movie was about? I mean, that would be impossible, right? Wow, that's exactly what the movie's about. Wouldn't that be weird if that's what the movie was about? I mean, that would be impossible, right? I mean, that would be impossible, right? Wow,
yeah,
that's exactly what
crazy.
the movie's about.
That was true.
It's about an overthrow, and they're going to destroy the humans and take over and overthrow. Well, let's go back and look at 4084, Piazza. Okay, so let's go back to iRobot and let's look at Detective Spooner's badge number. So now look, there's two numbers here. It says Spooner, it says 824 Detective Spooner, but here's his badge number over here. It's 4084. You see it right there. So now we've proven 4084, which means I apprehend, label of apprehend, catch, and arrest, and he's a detective. That's not possible. Well, what about this number 824, which is also?
It's not possible because they already know who that one is, and nobody knows the other one. The other one is the one that takes over with being partial AI.
It means properly out of place, out of the ordinary, strange, different. Well, did you know that in the movie itself, Will Smith is this anomaly, and he is out of place, he's strange and different. He has a shoulder that's robotic. One arm is robotic, so he's part machine.
And then the other robot is the one that is part woman, because you're fully man and fully woman, and you have a surgery done and nobody even knows. They have all the goods that you need in order to shape you up, carve you out, to make you look more feminine, even if it's with your lips at the top, or your nose a little tiny bit. You get your breast implants. You get all these implants because it can't happen at birth, because you would have to grow into it. You would have to be a certain age in order to, because you're not going to grow anymore. And it gets implanted, and then you can have children. Because that's only possible if they can literally clone people, and that's really how they do it. And they just implant that into a human being, and that's the host body system. And it's male and male. It's male and male together having a baby, and that's the race taking over. The entire AI device, I mean, I would give it to Satan. That would be the most cleverest damn thing ever, because how would you ever know when all those things are done? And it's the type of men that don't really grow hair either, so it makes it easier to stay groomed, like to continue to look like a woman.
So how is it that his badge shows, it conveys the fact that he's different, he's unique, he's out of place, he doesn't fit in with all the regular detectives, is out of the ordinary, there it is, out of the ordinary, not falling in line with,
yeah, I mean, the mask thing for me is not falling in line with. I've damn sure felt different from everybody, because I always felt awkward. But maybe because I was experiencing everybody's hardships, or the worries or fears or anxieties they got to go through. I've experienced that for them, like tapping into their brain and just feeling people's pain. And it's just time where you got to shut that off. You don't need to not be able to do it anymore, but just shut it down and start focusing in on where all your thoughts are coming from and why you have feelings inside your gut and how to get rid of them.
Strange, queer, out of line, kilter. And he is mocked in the movie. So in the movie itself, they mock him as being.
But I mean, you guys mock me. I mock you. I do my characters. I've done quite a few characters of Johnny and Philly getting crowned
as being really kind of like not one of the regular detectives. He's kind of the freak. Just, you know, they mock him. They're like, freak. Just, you know, they mock him. They're like, you know, he's not one of the guys. Okay, that's just one. Now, y'all ready? A while back, somebody mentioned, they said, Jonathan, you were going to talk about, you had mentioned Toto and the Wizard of Oz. Okay, so let's talk about that.
Yeah, I remember saying that also.
Let's go next to Toto. So we've shown you.
But who's Toto
what
here?
The Strong's Concordance is. It's a way to look up every single word in the Bible, every time it's used, every chapter, every verse. So I'm going to knock those down. We don't need those. We saw that in a movie called iRobot, Will Smith's badge is 4084, and his badge number means to apprehend, catch, and arrest. Well, that's what you need as a badge in order to apprehend, catch, and arrest. So now we're starting to see something very strange going on here.
Yeah, if I could just get that badge to enforce the federal law. Remember I was talking about that federal law going on in the stores and the mask wearing? That would be part of it, part of having a badge to be able to do that, because you can start demasking us.
An illusion. So,
but you can also get all the others at the same time in the social media platform. Get them arrested, convicted in their heart.
Let's contemplate this for a moment. Do you think everybody knows what I just showed you? Do you think
I do.
Let's think about this. Who knows what I'm showing you?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I'm just taking a guess, like always. I just go by what truly would make sense. What, like, if you were Satan and you just could not stand human beings, God's children, and you just want to, you love to lie to people. I keep forgetting I don't even need to get a ticket. Nobody works there anymore. I think I was going to go up to my sister's, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to head back. I'm trying to get my kid's car all the way up and finished, but it doesn't look like it's going to work today. So imagine what would be the trickiest thing that you can possibly do to mankind. Well, you know God created man and woman. He created man and woman separately, and then God created man and woman together. How do you do that? Well, you use AI, some kind of AI device. If anybody believes in clones, then I don't even have to convince you of how that's possible. But if you don't believe in clones, which I don't, I never have, I'm starting to reconsider, and then reconsidering, well, if that's possible, then why wouldn't they implant that into a woman that's really a man and changes into a woman, and you don't know, and then you have a baby by AI, and basically the baby is born with two fathers. So that's some crazy stuff right there.
I know, but how do I know? Well, I was taught by the Lord Himself, the Lord God.
Well, like I said, I'm just taking a wild guess, Jonathan. That's dead accurate.
The Lord God's the one that taught me. He told me. Jonathan looked this up in history.
However, I'm speaking of the takeover, the insurrection takeover, AI, with the male-female host body system, where you were a male and then now you're a female because you can actually have children. That completes the entire cycle of being exactly like God, where Lucifer will raise his throne above the stars of God and call himself God, because he can create just like God can. And that's how, I mean, it's pretty amazing that, because where does the spark of life come from? Well, that comes from God. Everything, the earth, the grass, the everything that's inside of the earth comes from God, the creator of all sources, our Father. But from that point on, it's us. We do either the damage or we fix things. So to be able to create life and to not even have to be able to use a woman, and to try to convince you to leave women, as if having sex with your woman or your wife or your husband, if you're a wife having sex with your husband, it's like the idea is to try to get you to number one, either think that who you're with is that what we're saying. It just happened, before you knew her, and which could be possible. I mean, I'm not ruling that out either, because all these things are very likely that you don't know people before you know them. Where did they come from beforehand? Who knows? So to be able to do that, and to get your mind to think, oh my God, is that true? Honey, you're a freaking alien. I don't want to be with you anymore. I'm out of here. And then it's like, well, if you want to go to heaven, you shall not love your wife or your husband or your wife or your mother, father more than God Himself. So you might want to leave. These are all the angles where Satan gets you to think. you can think them all through, and you can make a decision, and you can be so convinced. You know that landscape in Philadelphia, the Philadelphia Art Museum? That landscape represents your decision, free will. You either think something's going to happen to you, and if you don't do that, if you don't exchange, either become a receiver, where you're that woman, you're the woman that was a man that got breast implants, that did the invertation, you got the implant of what can create a clone, and you have sex with a man that still has the spark of life, but the man has to be willingly knowing that you're a man too. But that's also the other surgery where you need to be the concealed weapon, the mail-in ballot. And the fear will drive you to do one or the other. Or maybe you might even leave your spouse because you think that's true. Or maybe you might go insane because you believe it, and now you're having sex with a man and you're gay. So all these things can go through your head, and you just got to think them through. Don't attach feelings to any of them. Just see it for what can possibly be what they're trying to get you to perceive in your interpretation. Think them through. You know, it's a good idea. Put it on the shelf. Derek says put it on the shelf for later. Just remember it, but don't come to a conclusion until you finally come to a conclusion that makes total sense.
Strong. The Lord himself told me to do this. One that taught me, he told me. Jonathan looked this up in the Strong's. The Lord himself told me to do this. And then it started matching all the time, and naturally I freaked out. But let me be very, very clear. And naturally I freaked out, but let me be very, very clear. Do not just go apply this every time you see any number, any word. It doesn't work. And the reason is, it has to be something that's done with intent, and it has to be spirit-led. A lot of people think, oh, I can do this. No, you got to be super careful. So the Lord leads me, and he leads me into decoding, deciphering. I have the gift of knowledge, the gift of discernment. It's a supernatural gift. It's like laying hands on somebody. It's not just something you just start doing. It's not the way it works. But I'm able to now, the Lord's able to focus me very clearly, very quickly on the way they do this, and I'm able to discern very quickly one from another. The Lord's able to focus me very clearly, very quickly on the way they do this, and I'm able to discern very quickly one from another.